Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sadasiva Samarambam, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryandam, Vande Guru Parambram, Sakana Vavdu, Sakana Punattu, Sakaviryam Karabhavakai, Tejasvina Vadida Mustamavat Vishavakai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham, Malam Sarirasya Chavaitikena, Yopa Karottam Pravaram Muninam, Patanjali Pranjali Manatosmi. Good morning. So we are looking at the section where Patanjali introduced Ishvara Pranidhana. By focusing the mind becomes very sharpened and highly focused to the object of contemplation. While the focused mind is very important, we also need to expand the mind. It may look like a dichotomy, but it is not. Focused mind to the object of contemplation and a Vishala mind, a huge, generous mind to assimilate Parajnana. That's the reason why if the object of contemplation is bigger, when you focus on it, your mind also becomes bigger, is it not? That's why there's a subtle benefit here. By bringing Ishvara into the contemplation, your mind not only converges to the point, but also expands to the universal consciousness. We saw that. Then we saw that why Ishvara is different from Jiva. The Klesha Karma Vipaka Asayihi is not there for Ishvara. Therefore, he is a Purusa Vishesha. We saw that. Then Ishvara Prabhavam we saw that he is Sarvajna Bijam. Niradishaya. Niradishaya means reached its apex, complete, full, Paripurnam. What is Paripurnam? Sarvajnam is Paripurnam. This also we saw, and we also proved by the yukti, as Patanjali meant to impart this knowledge, that indeed there must be a Sarvajnan, there must be a Sarvashaktiman, there must be a Sarveshwaran. We saw that by using the Taratamyam or the distinction of objects. Bigger leads to biggest. Like that, we saw that. Therefore, we come to the assertion that there is we proved that there must be a Sarvajnan, but then we also question that why the knowledge becomes an identification of the Ishvara. It's because existence is about being aware of the existence, is it not? So when you say existence, unless you are aware of your existence, you don't exist. Therefore, existence also rides on the consciousness of being existence. Therefore, the Chit is a very predominant name or the attribute or the description of the Ishvara. Sarva Shaktiman, all that adages are there, but Patanjali purposely used Sarvajnan as the definition of Ishwaran, and a Bijam. Bijam means it's a seed. It's a seed which is high potential, infinite potential. You know, like Bhagavan says in the Gita, Urdhumulam Adashakam Ashvatam Prahur Abhyayam Chandhansi Yasya Parnani Yastham Vedavit. To Arjuna, he is telling, there he talks in a very slightly different context, but it's exactly the same thing, that the whole creation, manifestation, dissolution, the samsara, this whole jagat is a big ashwatam, kind of a fig tree. Urdhvam moolam. The moolam, the root is up, urdhvam. Shakam, the branches are down, adha. Bhagavan always says, he never say I say it, except on a Vibhuti Yogam, he says, Prahur. Who is saying that? Chandansi. All the Vedas are saying this. Saying this tree is Avyayam, eternal, always there. Yasya Parnani. Parnani means that leaves are nothing but Tam Veda. The Vedic hymns or the leaves of the tree. Savyedavit. So one who knows that is a knower. So there the tree is shown as everything. Sarvajnam, Sarvashakti. Everything is this tree. The root is on the top. So the usage of bijam is a very important concept in scriptures and the Puranas and Smritis, because it allows you to infer and interpret in so many ways, because nobody knows the potency of his seed. So we saw that. Then next we saw Purveshamapi, that Ishvara Saha, Ishvara, Guruhu, Kalena, Avachedat. So here he is giving that Ishvara is timeless. I am explaining this again because I think it's very important to understand Sarvagyan, timeless entity and eternal, to understand the next sutra. So he's a Guruhu and Sarvagyan. So therefore, knowledge is Ishvara. How can Ishvara be just knowledge? We always thought Sarvagyan is somebody who has got knowledge as an attribute. Dhanavan means one who has got richness. Shaktiman is one who has got the power. So Jnanavan should be one who has got the Jnanam as a possession of it. No. Sarvagyan means knowledge himself. How can knowledge, because we cannot think God as just a knowledge, because knowledge is just an abstract concept for us, right? That's what we think. But if you try to figure out, therefore, a form to the God, and that form has got Sarvagyam, what happens to the form? It is Kalena, Kala Avachetat, not Anavachetat. Why? Because the form will go. Krishna is gone, Rama is gone, Paramacharya is gone, Shankara is gone. Embodiment, the form is always time limited. The prabhavam through Prakriti will be Prakriti Layam, it will be all taken away. But we know that God is not Prakriti. It's beyond that. Therefore, we are not able to really conceive a God as knowledge, because we think knowledge is just a quality, but it is not. This is the very important transition when we move to the Vedanta. But naturally it will come, because when you look at it, who am I? Because you know that, because the eternal existence of you, only you know it. No pramanam can give you. Only the Anubhava pramanam can give you that you exist. Even Vedas can't tell you that you exist. Neti, because to exist, to show the existence of a car, I need to take a picture of the car and show it to you. But for you to know your existence, you need nothing, because you know it. So therefore, when you know it, and if you discard things that you belong to you, this is Vedanta, then you discard them. Deham nahi, chittam nahi, you keep on going that, then you become a chit, just pure awareness. So therefore, even though it is very difficult to comprehend, it is very common sense. So Ishvara therefore is Sarvajnam. And he is a Guru. Guru is the one here we saw in Guru in two terms. Purvesham api. Purvesham means the first of the first, those who came first. Api means even before that here. Therefore, Ishvara is before everything else. Therefore, he or she is the Srishtikarta. Everything is coming out of him, out of her. But everything else is after the knowledge. Is it not? Just now I made a statement. Existence because of awareness of existence. Therefore, the gurus not only create things, he gives knowledge. So now if you understand, I'm building it for the next sutra, so listen carefully. Therefore, Ishvara is Sarvajnam. He is full of knowledge. And that knowledge, he imparts to all the creations, all the manifestations. Therefore, he is Guru, or the Guru. Now, we already saw knowledge alone exists. So now the question asked is, how does he give this knowledge? When does he give the knowledge? How does he give the knowledge? Because we thought knowledge is coming to us naturally, or we go and cultivate in the school. Of course, we call the teacher as a guru. Therefore, the sutra is valid. But here talking about Ishvara as a guru. So the knowledge is revealed at every evolution. Bhagavan says in Gita also, when everything is become, Vikriti becomes the Prakriti, everything goes into the Layam. When the universe is dissolved, what is dissolved? All these things go into the Panchikarma, go back to the Panchaputas. Panchaputas go into Tanmatras. Tanmatras goes into the Mahat. Mahat is what? Buddhi, knowledge. Everything goes there. And then when it comes again, the knowledge comes back again. Is the same knowledge coming back again? Yes, the same knowledge, because knowledge is eternal. So you might have heard in this kind of stories, Brahma came from the Mahavishnu. From Brahma came all the beings. So when he creates his lineage, shall I say, manifestation, he is giving them the chittam. It's called nirmana chittam. Nirman means it has been established, and knowledge is given. We call it Manasa Putra. They say Manasa Putra. What is Manasa Putra means? Of course, everything comes out of the mind. When the son or the being is created, in the being's mind, the guru's mind, the asmita of the guru, create a spark in that mind. So the Parabrahman is creating, the Parabrahman's knowledge is coming into all the beings, into Manasa. We are all Manasaputras in a way. But when it is focused and given, what the Bhagavad Purana says, at the Pralayam finish and Srishti comes in, the Srishtikarta makes some special people as the Manasaputras to establish Dharma. Manusmriti. Manu comes in every time, any mantra Manu comes in, the Manu is given a Dharma to him. Continue the Dharma. Well, then am I not going to be one of those getting directly from God? Of course we are. Because we know who is God. God is that which is eternal, needs no proof of existence, all-knowing Atma. So the evolution is not only the pralayam, it's also the evolution in our mind. When you sleep, for example, you sleep and get up in the morning, your mind is fresh. Hey, I thought about it. Eureka. An evolution is finished. You're coming back again. Sorry, a dissolution is finished. You come back again. You evolve again as a being. Knowledge comes out. When this is cultivated in yoga, you become a rishi. You understand? So therefore, the evolution, dissolution, evolution is not just the universe submerged into the prakriti and coming out. It is happening. Even the sleep is called nitya pralayam. Every time you sleep, you get up, you gain knowledge back. Think about it. How do you know that you existed yesterday here? Smriti. Called pratyabhigya. You don't have it, it's called amnesia, dementia, problem. The knowledge is come back to us. Who is giving the knowledge to you? You think, I get it. No, you don't get it. You get the grace of the Atma. When you get up in the morning, I know I am so and so. I can stable in this world. So this knowledge is revealed every time. But when you do in a yoga and you do a tapas, you become a rishi, seer, knowledge. And special people are created when the Srishti comes in. Okay. How does he give the knowledge? He gives what language he uses. Because knowledge means for us, it is words, language. What language God speaks? You say Sanskrit? No. In the whole of Vedas, in the whole of Panini's grammar, there is no word called Sanskrit. All the names we give before. Bible says, at the beginning, there was word. The word was with God. The word was God. It's absolute Upanishad. So, Vedas call it Shabdam. The knowledge is given in the form of Shabdam. Why Shabdam? Form, we know, form will be time limited. But it's not Shabdam also time limited. When you take Shabdam as a noise, yes, it is. But Shabdam here is Jnana Bijam. Every sound has got a potency of a meaning. We do not know the meaning. Now, suppose I say a table to a guy who doesn't know English. He gets something in his mind, the vritti comes in, it could be something else in his mind. So you have a different connotation of it. But there is artham, there is artham means meaning or object was indicated, and shabdam is a sound. So before we go to the verbal part of it, the shabdam is what is that? Shabdam is the radiation of knowledge. Now, we say, look, for me, shabdam is the noise that I can hear. I can do physical experiments, sound waves, 20 to 20,000 hertz. I can't hear anything beyond that. Or even though they say, you go to vacuum, there is no sound. Sound doesn't travel. It needs a medium, it's in air. So if you go to the space and interstellar space and intergalactical space, there is no material. If you go to space, if you cross the atmosphere, in a 1 centimeter cube, you may have 3 or 4 atoms. From billions of atoms here. So there is no particle there. You don't hear any sound. Of course, this is now being disproven by the gravitational wave. In fact, there's made a big big fuss about it because they recorded this noise on a micro frequency and they amplified it, and it creates a kind of a sneezing sound. But we try to think sound is what I can hear. What I can hear in this sthani. That sthani means the one who is hearing. My conditions is this. A dog hears very differently. Dog will hear a different frequency. That means does it not hear the sound? It does. But I am limited. So Shabda Pramanam is everywhere. Shabdam is everywhere. Through Shabdam, the Artham is given. So Shabdartham is the important thing. You remember that I think everybody knows this. The Kalidas has a beautiful verse. Vagarthavid samakto, Vagartha pradipate, Jagado Pidarao Vande, Parvati Parameshwaram. Like a word and the meaning together. They are together. But Patanjali says, Patanjali also wrote what's called Mahabhashya. And then he says, Sarve Sarvartha Vachakaha. In any sound, any words, any meaning can be derived. This is a sutra. We need to go through in detail to understand what it is. Apparently, it looks very easy to understand. Very simple. In any word, I can put any meaning. You call elephant an elephant, a gajam is elephant, but I decided to call it a camel. I can do it. So I can create a new convention of the same meaning, because for me, it is a different meaning. That is how the words we create. But it is a God's convention and revelation that is a limiting factor. That determines what is there. What is God's convention means? God's convention means every pralayam, when it hides away all the shabdas, shabdarthas, it comes back, the same shabdartha comes back. You cannot change it. I can call the mother in so many different languages, but the shabda for mother, okay, here I must validate you. Shabda is don't think about sound. The energy, the awareness, the trigger to imply the object of motherhood, motherliness, is Shabda. That cannot be changed. I can call it Ma, mother, mummy. The convention cannot be changed. Why? Because the Shabdartham decides the Dharmartham. What is the Dharma for the mother and the child is also natural. So there is a natural relationship between Shabdam and Artham, and that could be a unnatural or synthetic or derived extension of it. The derived extension cannot violate the convention of the revelation. Same Patanjali would say in the third pardon, Sabdhartha Pratyayanam Idre Adhyasat Sankarastat Pravibhaga Samyamat Sarvabhuta Rudagyanam. Rudagyanam means a kind of a evolved, conventional, evolved knowledge of words meaning. Samkaras means confusion. I will not go into detail right now. We will learn about it when we do that. He does say that, look, when you have the artham to word, in fact, there was a seer called Bhatrahari. Bhatrahari wrote Padhiyam, which is about the, in India, it's amazing because the psychology of the philosophy of meaning itself a concept. Why a word has got a meaning? What's the relationship? And there are so many scholars written books. And Bhatrahari wrote one, and there he quotes 16 different conditions that define the meaning. what is implied, what is unimplied, the association, dissociation, the kala, the desha, so many things. Even the abhinava, how you say it, the way that your hands move, your tonal variation, all this will give a derived meanings of it, but the fundamental relationship between artha and the shabda is universal. So Veda says, Nitya Sabdartha Sambandha. The reason I am building this because Patanjali is wanting to now give you the reason why Japam is important. Japam is Shabda Pramana. But Japam cannot by itself give you the fulfillment. You need Artham, which is contemplation. The Vararuchi, who wrote the Vartika and Mahabhashyam says, Siddhe Shabdartha Sambandhe. He says again the same thing. The relationship between this word and the meaning is eternal. So therefore we can say the conventional thing is what we derived, natural thing is what is implied. Both can coexist, but here we are talking about natural sound. We are building this because we are going to ask the name of Ishvara. If you say name of the Ishvara, it's a sound. So what is the sound? What is the artham of the sound? Is it natural or not? Why is it natural? All that we need to understand. So therefore, when you take a name, it's a signifier. The named one is a signified, and that is eternal. How can I say eternal? Now, my name is Raja, for example. I am signified. When you call Raja, I turn back. So Raja is a signifier. I am the signified. But my wife may call me a different name, or you may call me another name, or I may change my name to Prakash or whatever. So how that is eternal? But here these names are not natural Shabdartham. They are conventional, what we changed within our limits. So what is natural name for me? Aham, I. Whether you call me by this name or that name, when I talk about myself, I. The Aham Shabdam, therefore, has got an Artham. The Shabdartham of Agam is eternal. In the world, everything has got such a profound natural names. That's what you're talking about here. So that's why the eternal relationship, because in that Shabdam, there's a knowledge part. You see, we come back to the Sarvajna Bija because we are talking about the knowledge. So when I say Aham, for example, my name is Aham, your name is Aham. You cannot change, nobody can change. The meaning of the Aham we never ask because we think meaning is, there's no meaning. We say, Raja Gopalan means the king of a cowboy or something like that, because we go by the literal meaning of it. But Ahamartham Sampurnam. Aham Padarthaya Parameshwaraya Shivatmani. That's the slogan there. That knowledge about that name is eternal. It's called Kutastha Nitya. Permanent. It cannot be changed. But there is a physical part of it. This is what Vyasa call it, Pravaha Nitya. It's also Nityam, but it's Pravaha. It comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes. That's why the Brahma comes in, they say, this is the 14th Brahma of this mantra. Okay, so Brahma is the same name used. But the Brahma is gone, a new Brahma comes in, Prabhaha Nityam. Indra is gone, a new Indra comes in. So you can see the Kutastha Nityam is the knowledge The Prabhaka Nityam is the manifestation of it in many forms. Therefore, in Vedanta, we call the Kudasthi Nityam as Shabdartha Brahman. Shabda Artha Brahman. The Tantric, they celebrated this more and they call it Prabhaka Nityam as a Nada Brahman. Of course, if you go and search on the internet, you may find different meaning because subsequently Tantric has developed the Nada Brahman, the Shabda Brahman, and so on and so forth. But for our purpose, just you can imagine Shabda Brahman, Shabdartha Brahman is the Brahman, Nada Brahman is the Shakti, the manifestation of it. Maya, Prakriti, Parashakti, Lalitambika. They can't inseparable. They may come in different manifestation. That's why it's called Prabhaka Nitya. It comes and goes, comes and goes. Okay. So much for the background of it. Now the question is, you asked the teacher, you told me that I need to pray to God. What is God's name? You might have guessed by now. Very simple. Tasya Vachakaha Pranavaha. Tasya. Of him, of that Ishvara. Vachakaha. Vachakaha means name or how it is being called. His name is Pranavaha. Well, if you're expecting, you will say Rama, Krishna, or Kapila, or anything, don't get disappointed. Here we're talking about the Kudastha Nityam, the knowledge, Sarvajna Bijam. Therefore, he says Pranavaha. Even then, he does not call by name at this point of time. You see, it's our culture that we don't call the elders by the name. You know, even if he's there, you just go nearby to get the attention. We don't call them, hey, Balaji, or hey, Rama. We don't call them because if you revere them, we don't use the name. Therefore, he says here, Pranavaha. Therefore, Pranava is not the name of Ishvara, but Pranava is the name of the Ishvara. I'll explain this. So we saw Ishvara Pranidhanatva. That's a sutra we saw. So the Pranidhanam means to have the presence of Ishvara. When you do yoga, I want to have Ishvara Pranidhanam. I want to have Ishvara in my presence. That means I must call Ishvara. So this Pranidhanam, if you take the word, Pranidhanam. Pra means, of course, Sanskrit got so much of meaning. Here, pra means propelling, excellent, friend, triggering. Ni means, the Ni Shabda says, Nischayam, surely. Dhana means one who is giving oneself into that object of contemplation. You can say Pranidhatra, the actual person who is doing it, get the Pranidhana. He becomes one with the one that's special that is in front of him. So here he says Pranavaha. So the Pranava also have, at least we can take two important meaning. Pranava. Pra means again, excellent, fitting. Nava. Name. Namaha. Nashabdamika Namaha. The excellent name, the fitting name. So he's saying his name is a very fitting name. That's one meaning. That means it's the most appropriate name. That means you cannot call him by any other name. It is the most appropriate. You can also take Navaha means new. Always apurva, always new. What can be always new? If I know you today, tomorrow you are not new. I know you. That which is unchanging, that it presents itself always. Remember that we talked about Puranam means Pura api navam. Whatever is old in scripture, presented as new is Puranam. Whatever is contained in all the Vedas, presented all the time as fresh, refreshing, new, unmodified, eternal. So, okay, so what is this? So, pranava is appropriate. It is sound of Om. This is implied. His name is the sound of Om. So is he named in Sanskrit? No. Om is not Sanskrit. Om is not any language. Om is not a word to give a conventional meaning. It's a Shabdam. That's why in Veda is not called, it's called Shabda because it's all Shabdam. Language is immaterial. That's why we don't understand. Sometimes we think this language is bigger, this is smaller, and knowledge is just, knowledge is the essential thing, and language is a carrier that we create to encapsulate this jnanam in pockets of interpretation. So his name is Om. So Om is what is important. So therefore we say, what about I call Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Murugan, Parvati? Fine. Because you cannot understand the Om, you cannot understand the Sarvajñam. Therefore, I am giving you this rope, hold on to it. Say Om Krishnaya Namaha. Om Ramaya Namaha. But all this is going into Om. That's why when Shankara say about Gayatri Mantra, he says, the mantra says, the Om has to be there in the front and the back. So you say that each aksharam, I'm not going to say it now, but you have to put the Om at the first phrase or the first and the last phrase. Then only the mantra completes. We say Om, we start and end with Om, Tat Sat Om. So Om is the name of Ishvara, but for my contemplation, I can use my Ishta Devata because I like Krishna or I like Rama, I like Lakshmi, I like Saraswati, and fine. But make sure that you have Om and Om, ending, middle, end. That's what he's going to say. But I wanted to just to give you a little glimpse on it, why this is very important to understand, because we are going to do meditation, dhyanam, you're going to do meditation, dhyanam and all that, or you're doing it. And we're going to introduce Ishvara Pranidhanam. Om is going to be used. So is there anywhere about the knowledge of Om given? Of course, it was called the Mandukya Upanishad. It is an Upanishad of 12 verses, very simple to read, the most profound Upanishad, the most important Upanishad. And normally they teach when you got a call for it, you have to go through several steps. Even they say, you should not do Omkara Upasana. They say only the sannyasis can do. The reason they say that is because it's very difficult to comprehend and hold. Of course, you can do Upasana. But the Mandukya Upanishad is an interesting one. This is the last of this mantra. Without dwelling deeper into it, I'll just pick up those words for us. But perhaps maybe before even go to that, this Mandukya Upanishad, there is a Karika written by Gaudapada, the giant of the Guru Parampara, who is the beacon of Advaita Siddhantam, Shankara's Paramaguru. Astounding. When you read it, so many times you read it, every time you read it, it brings you new things, and very tall figure. But you should understand who they are. So I'll give you a very simple 5 minutes on this one so that sometime when you understand the life, personality behind it, you appreciate what it is. So Panini, we all know. Panini is the Pitamaha for the Sanskrit grammar, Vyakaranam. It's not that grammar came first. Grammar was the Angam. It became, in People may wonder why the grammar is one of the Vedangams, or why it is part of the spiritual training. Why grammar is, after all, we say it's a language application tool. Even these days in UK, we don't even teach grammar in schools, It's not that, because when we understand jnanam is shabdam, shabdam is what creates manifestation of everything in the world. If interpreting the shabdam, you need grammar. Therefore, grammar is, Vyakaranam is as profound as Vedas. So what Panini did was, Panini took these Veda Shabdas and listened to it, and he tried to find some engaging rules of perfection. Shabda, if the Shabda is Ishvara Shabda, and Ishvara is perfection, it has to be perfect. But even a perfect sun, when it falls on a gutter or falls on a broken glass, it may look broken. Sun is not broken, the Pratibhimbam is broken. So when we hear the Shabdas and we get very different way, and therefore it's distorted. That's why the Adhyayanam was very important. And why didn't they write it down? When they can think about all this, can they not invent scribes, letters? Now, that's one of this conventional theory that, they were barbarians, they don't even know how to write it. No. These Shabdas are not transcoded in a form. Not transcodable, and not transcoded. Why not? Is there any sound that is not transcodable in a literal form? Yes. Go to the garden, sit down and write all these birds sound perfectly in any language you of your choice, and ask somebody to read it. Can anybody produce the same way? No. It is difficult to code them, but we need to code them. We need to code them because our knowledge is limited. Therefore, you need to really, find letters that represent the sound. And the arrangement of letters, padam, vakyam, padartham, vakyartham, vyakaranam, all that has to be fall. Therefore, can I invent something? No. Panini took 15, 16 different vyakaranas before that. And he was in a penance, and there's a lot of story, So Shivan's Damru came in and he took those 14 beats called Mahesha Sutrani, and he wrote a grammar. The grammar is so profound, so perfect, and that one, what is colloquially used, Prakrit, it's not Vedas. Prakrit was the language used on the thing. They said Prakrit is made Sanskrit, made it perfect. Therefore, there is no point in arguing that in Ashoka's tombstone or Ashoka's victory stones, Sanskrit is not written. Therefore, Sanskrit is not word. No. Sanskrit may come later as a language, but the Shabdams are there even before that. So Panini wrote that grammar, which is so beautiful. Panini is supposed to be Brahma's incarnation, and both Brahma and Adisesha were fond of Shiva's dance, because Lord Vishnu, when he was lying down, and when Shiva's dance he was enjoying in his mind, and his body becomes spurti, becomes big and dancing around. So they made the Adisesha uncomfortable, and he asked him, so why are you dancing? And he said, I see the Parashiva's dance. And Adisesha said, I want to see it. Then he grants him the thing. So Adisesha becomes Patanjali, and he goes to the Chittambaram, and he sees Lord Shiva's dance. And he knows that Panini has written Vyagaranam called Ashtadhyayi in 8 chapters. And he came, and then, we read this Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Charidasya. So he does the Ayurvedic book and Yoga Sutra, and he writes Mahabhashyam. But then Mahabhashyam, when he finished writing, and he needs to give it to people to learn, and in Chidambaram, he calls 1,000 disciples who is perfected in Vyakarnam to come and learn Mahabhashyam. So he needs to teach them all in a short span of time. Therefore, he says, look, everybody sits around. Probably you read all the stories, but I just make it simply. Sit in front of me, but I put a curtain, don't see me. I will teach, you learn, don't move out of this place, don't open the curtain. So he teaches. He takes his organization form in 1,000 tongues and 1,000 faces. He's just pouring out for 1,000 students, and everybody is writing it. One of them was, compelled to hold a natural skull. So he goes away without telling the guru. When one is gone and the others were very suspicious of his behavior and they want to comply to the teacher, or this is all legend, they open the curtain. The curtain is open, and in this Vishwarupam, nobody can see them, so everybody was turned into ashes. So Patanjali comes out as a human being, and he's regretting this whole thing happened. That time, this boy comes back, and he's so happy, and he embraces him and blesses him and say, okay, I will teach you Mahabhashyam. But then you have misbehaved, therefore you need to be punished. Therefore you become a Brahma Rakshasa. A Brahma Rakshasa is one who is a Videhi, but with a single-minded obsession to get something, unsatiable condition. So become Brahma Rakshasa, find a suitable person and teach him Mahabhashya. Once you teach him, he will be resolved. So he is hanging upside down in everywhere. Nobody could sort him out. Then he goes up to the Dakshina, he goes to the Vindhya Parvat, go to Narmada. Then I think Patanjali's mercy, I think his spark became incarnated, called Chandra Sharma. Oh, sorry. This boy becomes Gaudapada. The Patanjali's Shishya becomes Gaudapada. They say Gauda is a Gauda Desha in Bengal, and he came from there and all that. The Gaudabhata is become a Brahma Rakshasa, and he is on a tree waiting for somebody. That's the time this young man called Chandra Sharma comes. He's the one who answers a question to him. And then he asked him, where are you going? And he said, look, I'm going to Chidambara, and so on and so forth. He teaches him the Mahabhashya. And then he becomes Govindapada. Of course, he goes there, and Gaudapada becomes a normal human being. He goes to Sukar and he becomes a disciple in Kashi and Kashmir. And the Chandra Sharma goes there and he marries people, and then he gets children, and then he renunciates the life. And then he looks for Gaudapada and goes to Gaudapada. Gaudapada calls him Govindapada and imparts him Brahmajnana and say, you have to go and wait for the Parabrahmam to come down on the earth to teach the Brahmajnana. So he goes there and sits in Narmada, and Shankara Bhagavad Bhata comes to him as a disciple, and then he imparts this jnana. So, of course, you can go to the internet, read all those stories. It's very interesting. But the important point I want to stress is Gaudapada. He is amazing. He's a Paramaguru. So he is the Guru of Shankara. So his philosophy is Advaitam, but it's called Ajativatam. That means nothing is born. This is very interesting because in the Mandukya Upanishad, of the 12 of these slokas, he writes 215 explanatory notes. On that one, except the first chapter, It's called Agama Prakaranam. He expands this. But subsequently, he writes about Mithyatvam and Shakshatkaram and all that. He goes in a so beautiful way, but he does it with a view to convince the Purva-Pakshi, which is the questioner, in a very logical way. So, God willing, and if we are able to learn it together, this Mandukya Upanishad and Karika some stage, we'll go into the greater detail because it's enthralling and it'll make everything upside down. Whatever we learned in the Advaitam also will be upside down and go into a different stage. But we're not going to go into that, don't worry. You will run away. But here what we are trying to say is the Gaudapada talks about the Mandukya Upanishad. And what is the Mandukya Upanishad focus? Its focus is about Omkara. Omkaram Sarvam. Sarvajñam is Om. That's what we have now learned. The Ishvara's name is Om. Om means Sarvajñam. But I need proof. Right? We are rational being, aren't we? So we want to know the proof. So how it is said as a symbol for Sarvajñam. And by the way, I understand knowledge is important, knowledge is everything. But I would like to know Sarvashakti, Sarvanubhavam. I exist in the world. I see so many things in the world. How is all this is Om? How Om transcends everything? How Om contains everything? I don't like this very poetic justification. The sound sounds like everything. But I want to know some solid proof. It has to be my experiential proof. So this is what the Mandukya Upanishad does. We touched upon it very briefly in Tattva Bodha class. The Anubhava, when you talk about Anubhavam, what are the Anubhavam we have? We have only say, yes, my Anubhavam is, I dreamt last night. Because we don't really call the present as an Anubhavam. You don't say, I am experiencing the lecture. No, you don't say. But after half an hour, you may say, I experienced the lecture. So we associate Anubhavam to the past, not to the present. Okay, that's a different vicharam. So Vedanta gave, but I'll tell you easily, you have 3 levels of experiences. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. So that all your existence, all your experiences, all your actions come into these 3 planes, is it not? Jagrat means awakening state. I am awakened now. I go to the class, I study, all these things. Everything's an experience. Yes, yeah. I don't experience Om in it, but I experience all this. Yeah, fine. Then I go to bed, I sleep, I get a dream. Do you experience a dream? Yes, of course. Some dreams are frightening, nightmare. I had a sumptuous dinner. I made a 8-course dinner. I go to bed, I dream as a hungry man running around. You really feel hunger at that time. See, you can see this. All your food that you ate in your body has no use at all. Or you may be, I wear a glass to read, and in the dream I read a book, or the dream I see things, but I don't need to wear my glasses to go to sleep. I can see it. So I can see a completely different me in a completely different world, but largely related to what I experience in this world, because it's not a completely different subject. It is, I see the Shankar coming again, or some strange animals coming into my dream. Yes, okay. You have a dream experience. So therefore it affects you. Yes. I don't see Om. I don't nothing to do with Om in it. I have a complete deep sleep. I have no dream. I don't even know I existed. You say I had a dead sleep. You are almost dead. because your consciousness is not there to see. But we modified it in yoga, in Vedanta. Conscious is always there, but it is looking at the dark screen. Now, suppose I go to the theater, I got a special class and the screen is black, and you are on a commons class and you see the movie. But whatever reason, the screen never opened for my special class. I see the movie, my movie is black, and you see the movie, everything running around. So we said, Nidra is a vritti. The vritti is a black screen. So Sushupti, the experience, I see the black screen. So I have an experience of nescience, experience of ignorance, stupidity, dumbness. Well, yeah, okay. I have a deep sleep state where I don't know nothing. So I have 3 experiences. Yes. But how do you know these 3 experiences exist for you? So what do you mean? I am the one who was having the waking up. I am the one who is dreaming. I am the one in deep sleep. Well, if you are the one, you should have the same tool set, same possession, same application of the possession in all the places because you are able to do it. But you could not. You can't have the food that you ate be hungry, solving medicine in your dream. No. The specs you wear in a waking state doesn't help you in the dream state. Well, I can't say therefore I am different. I look different. There was a different part of me. We build the story. And Vedanta said, well, for time being, let's be that role. I'm going to say it's a different person, but you don't believe it, let's be a role. The same person who kisses the child or kisses the wife and go to the office and the child comes in, you are standing tall. You don't do that because you are an officer now, different role. So therefore, the 3 experiences, you have 3 different personality. Now, we know that in all these 3 personalities, there is no connection. But still I can say, I am the same person doing it. Therefore, there must be some connection somewhere. Okay, I think it's time up now, so I will probably close it here. So there is a connection there. You understand, this is the domain of learning in the Mandukya Upanishad. You might already guess now. We brought for the Omkara Shabdam. So how is this now the Upanishad is going to connect me, my experiences, to the Omkara? That's what this final mantra is talking about it. I will not go into that, but it needs a fresh mind. So I'll stop it here. So what you have learned today is that Ishvara Pranidhanam requires Ishvara to be brought into a presence. We do not know how to bring him into a presence. We will learn it now. But we wanted to know who is this Ishvara. Ishvara is Sarvajna Bijam. He is knowledge eternal. He is the seed of knowledge. He is the knowledge, or she is the knowledge. It is the knowledge. Okay, that's a very abstract part. I understand. How does the knowledge come to me? What does he do with the knowledge? The knowledge is given to all the creations. How is he able to give that? Because the creation happens within the time. Creation means there's a time. So if God is within the time, he can't give. Therefore, God is timeless. Therefore, we proved that first. God is timeless. So because he is timeless and he is knowledge, he is in authority and power to give the knowledge to the time-bound creations. Therefore, he is called the Guru. Purvesham api Guru, Srishtikarta and Upadesakarta. Dakshinamurti. There is a Dakshinamurti Stostram, that Om Nama Pranavartaya Shuddha Surubne Nirmalaya Prasannaya Dakshinamurti Namo Namah. He saw the Parabrahma as Dakshinamurti. Jnana. Then he say, yeah, fine. How does the knowledge is given? Shabdam and Artham. Therefore, every Shabdam is therefore revealed. So don't feel shy to argue Apurusheya, Asariri for the Veda Shabdam, because Shabdam is revealed. You don't create Shabdam. Shabdam exists. The Shabdam exists here. Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, Vaikari. Vaikari is the Nadam sound. Dhvani happens in this here. Dhvani converts to Nadam. Below that, as a thought, and the Mula of thought is Shabdam, Shabda Brahma. When you pray it together, Shabdartha Brahman. So we saw that, okay, now we understand everything. Therefore, I revere the sound. Can you tell me the sound of the Ishvara? Here he said, sound of the Ishvara is Om. Now the next question you must ask is, what do I do with the Om? So that we will understand in the next sutra. And before we go to the sutra, we will complete this Mandukya Upanishad. Only this verse, just to complete it, that how this Omkara is Sarvajna Bijam. And we continue. Sorry about that interruption in between the power. So we take the Shanti part. Sorry, can you hear me? I'm getting trouble in my computer. Om Astutoma Sadmaya Tamaso Ma Jyoti Gamaya Mritoma Namaya Om Shanti Shanti.